while. It's been a while. Hold on for 1 second. Hope everybody is doing well. Didn't we just come from something? Oh no, it felt like, oh shoot, it felt like a holiday, but it wasn't. I may talk about this a little bit today too. I wasn't planning on it, but Marilyn Monroe's birthday was on June 1st. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine, also a client, and we were talking about like her death and her life and a part of like her feminine purpose when she was in her peak of her career, and like how her death, the suspicion around her death actually didn't make any sense, and we kind of like decoded a lot of stuff with that. So I had said, you know what, this past weekend, which was her birthday weekend, hey everybody coming in, which was her birthday weekend, I'm gonna celebrate her birthday. Not as my personal birthday, but as, hold on for a second, I'm trying to see, it's so sunny. But like as a celebration of like actual multifaceted femininity and beauty, sexuality, sensuality, and all of that good stuff through her birthday. So on the weekend of June 1st, I decided to do that. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna put my information in the chat box and then pin that. Hold on, there we go. All right. So yeah, shout out to everyone who's coming in. It is Thursday afternoon, still morning here on the West Coast. As you can see, the title is basically talking about a concept of The Walking Dead. And I began this video by talking about Marilyn Monroe and it feeling like a holiday had just passed. And it really felt like a holiday to me. So I'm actually going to include the Marilyn Monroe conspiracy into this conversation because I think it's pretty interesting, especially since she is quote unquote dead. And they are trying to reanimate a lot of energies, especially through so-called dead stars. So we're going to talk about this because I'm feeling better in a space right now personally to talk about this. I have not been live in a while because I have not been feeling that great, honestly. I mean, I don't put my business out there like that, but like, yeah, I had to go see like a psychiatrist and shit. Like, I had to go to that level and really check up on myself and do a mental check with some of the things that I was seeing and sensing with no shame, and I'm glad that I did that. So let's just say that. So I'm feeling much better. Let me see if I can see the comments and everything because I'm not seeing anything. If you're there, say something. I see Greenie Page said something. Hi. Okay, I can see, guys. Also, another thing is my name is transitioning into sky, like the sky above, the stars in the sky, the sun in the sky, right? So sky. So yeah, I'm also gaining resonance in that name as well. So yes, you can call me Taryn, but the transition is to sky. So I think that's also helping as well. So yeah, where should I start with this conversation? Man, I didn't know I was gonna bring Marilyn Monroe into this, but let's talk about it. Let's bring her in first. Now, because I'm a numbers person and I'm able to kind of like look into the frequency field of the conscious part of numbers, let's go into decades at a time for a second. And Marilyn Monroe, her peak in her career was during the 1950s. Now, if you've heard me enough on these videos talking about numbers, especially with the number 5, I always reiterate and I always say that the number 5 is a blueprint number. It is a number of massive change, but only because it is a number that gives a person the opportunity to rewrite something, correct something, edit something, create something via blueprint, okay, or prototype. For instance, when an architect is building a structure or a building or something, there's a blueprint that is created with the measurements, and it is on paper, and through like official measurements, the blueprint is created before the building even appears. And then on top of that, there's a prototype or a model of that structure in miniature form that is also now created based upon the blueprint. And based upon that mini model or a prototype model, that is when now there is security and confidence to actually go into the big job of building the actual structure. So there are steps to getting to the actual manifestation of things, and the number 5 allows us to create that blueprint and that miniature model and so on for anything in our lives. So so basically, as I say that about the number 5, going into the 1950s, where again Marilyn Monroe was at her peak, and I hope you guys can hear me well. It's a lot going on, just scaffolding and construction and people and shit. So I hope you guys can hear me good. So the 1950s for Marilyn basically became the prototype for the ultimate example of femininity. Now, of course, there was many other beautiful women. It has nothing to do with beauty when I'm talking about this or anything, because back in the 1950s, there were a lot of women that were glamorous, beautiful, in their bag, in their confidence, just as Marilyn was. But Marilyn was a specific type. For instance, people can try to dress up like Marilyn, but there can never be another Marilyn, quite literally, because of a certain resonance factor that was unique to her. And because of this, she was definitely being used in a way that was an extreme harvest for her feminine energy. She was the end-all be-all of femininity. Marilyn Monroe, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we're going to get into the other part of the conversation, but Marilyn Monroe died in 1962. Her birthday is 6/1. She died in a 6/2. Now I told you guys that once you go from 5 to 6, that there is blueprint to actual full-on manifestation. As you can see in the end of Marilyn's career, hey to everyone coming in. Also, if you are able to make any kind of contributions or donations to the conversation within itself, feel free to Cash App tarenguy. All the other links are in the description as well. Just putting that out there is always appreciated. So going from 5 to 6, the 50s to the 60s, the end of Marilyn's career, I believe her last movie was The Misfits. The rumor is that she was worn down, she was worn out. You kind of saw it in her face. She looked tired. She didn't look as vibrant as she used to. She was really exhausted, really tired out. Now, the thing about these types of celebrities is that they are overused. So Marilyn should have taken a break. She should have stopped making movies for a little while. She should have preserved her energy for a little while, and she did not. She was contracted in a sense of she couldn't do it. She had to fulfill every single contract. So by the time you get to 1960, 1961, she's already worn out. There are other way more beautiful women, way more younger women, because she was like 30 something by that time, and way more budding stars coming out for the 1960s. Marilyn was phasing out in general. Now, the thing about her brand is I feel that her brand is owned. And you see it everywhere in, you know, the dolls and the fucking keychains and the you know, you can go and like impersonations and have Marilyn experiences and shit. I don't know. It's like all types of branding that is associated with her name. I have a theory because I've kind of tapped into this. It's just a theory. Call me crazy if you want to, but I feel even then they had the technology to create through holographic technologies and create pocket worlds and digital worlds even in the 1960s. Once your soul is owned to that capacity, when there is a passing away of a soul like that, there can be a download upload process to that soul. We've seen examples of this even on Black Mirror, right? Where like your soul is uploaded, downloaded, uploaded in a space where you kind of like loop. And sometimes it can be torture for a person's soul because they can't get out of it. They're digital, they are holographic, hologram types, and so on. So I feel like this happened to her. And the thing is, Marilyn's spirit is connected to a lot of women today. Even super. I hate when I get phone calls when I'm on the videos. Hold on for a second, guys. Jeez. I had to like send a text message. They're gonna keep calling. Anyway. So anyway, don't want to spend too much time on this, but there is a trapping of the soul that can take place that can actually quantumly intertwine with the feminine energy today that is reblooming and rebudding into the space that is needed to recreate a new earth. There's this so quantum manipulation is basically when you take the main factor of the component of what it is that you want to manipulate and you poke and prod or you torture or manipulate that one version, which quantumly affects the other versions that are quantumly, naturally, and authentically connected to that component, that subject, right? This is where experimentation comes in. The quantum effects leak out. So let's say they're doing something to like her face, you know, because I sense like torture to her soul, and I hope this is not true. I'm not manifesting this onto a person's soul. But let's just say that this was the case, and there was a torture because she was so beautiful, like outwardly as well as on the inside. Her face. And let's just say they were like doing things to her face to make her so-called ugly. This quantumly affects those who are authentically connected to that specific type of feminine energy. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something starts happening to their faces without anyone doing anything to their faces physically. They wake up, something's going on with their nose, maybe they have acne out of nowhere, Maybe they have like scars. Maybe their face features are actually changing. And they don't know what the fuck is happening to their faces, because it's simply happening to a component that is being poked and prodded at on purpose to quantumly get to the mass base of this particular kind of feminine energy. Because I told you guys there's a war against feminine energy, because this is the actual energy that is needed to blossom or bloom into having more space on this planet that we call Earth. We're actually building more space, and the only way we can do that is through the feminine energy. So knowing that, all you have to do is be ahead of time and try to control and manipulate this specific kind of energy before we get to the actual building. And by the time the feminine wakes up to this shit, it's too late. And we're early right now. So that's all I'm gonna say, is like, we're early and we're not playing that shit. So yeah, there's that component. Let me see. You know what's ironic? One of my new aliases is Sky Daddy. Okay, thank you, Kendall, for posting my Cash App as well. Thank you. So I say this all to say this. I also watched the Joe Rogan and Terrence Howard. I knew people were gonna ask me about the interview. I probably have like at least 20 to 30 minutes left of the interview, so I got through a great deal of the interview with Terrence Howard and Joe Rogan, and I found it very, very, very interesting. Terrence, in his way, talks about the feminine energy being the prime component to build and to recreate as well, in his own way, through equations and through sacred geometry. He had the straight line, curvy line conversation. In his opinion, he says that straight lines don't exist. Now, if I were talking to Terrence, I would understand what he was saying, but they do exist only because we made them exist. But what he's basically saying is that in God's creation or through nature, straight lines don't naturally exist, which is the truth. But in reality, straight lines do exist, which means that there is a point or a breaking point where humanity breaks away from nature and goes into becoming the builders and the men of the space. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. When you open up the flower the right way, as he said, there's the energy gives permission, which creates the stick or the staff or the cane, or the whatever you call it, right? The staff of the man, the elder who walks around with his staff, literal and figuratively, in so many different directions. We're talking the penis, we're talking a staff as a stick, and we're talking about work staff. Like, motherfucker is creating businesses from the straight line. So there is good work and great building that does come from the formula or the equation of the straight line. If I would say this to Terrence, if he was like, if I was talking to him, like, that we want to celebrate instead of demonize, because we don't want to demonize straight line creation in the renewal of the creation, because the feminine energy does and support the break off of her into him. So to me, this is the true unmarriage, not the marriage, but the true unmarriage of masculine and feminine energy as we share space here on this planet called Earth. So that's also another thing that I wanted to bring up. Going back to the numbers with the Marilyn Monroe example, I'm going to close that out in saying that when she died in the 60s era was literally the era of love manifestation. Okay, so peace and love, all of that, people actually being more sexually free, like having all the crazy orgies and peace, love, and sex, and all types of things going on in the 60s that were not necessarily going down in the 50s. Marilyn was a part of the blueprint creation of love. She could not, or they would not allow her to experience the manifestation of her works. You understand? So like when you're a part of building something huge, the sacrifice usually is the main component that created a platform for it in the first place. Then you cut her life short so that others are able to live in that energy called love manifestation through into the 60s. Marilyn should have been alive for the 1960s to get rewarded for the work that she put in the 1950s, because she was the epitome of what love represented in so many different ways. And again, we're not talking about race. We're not talking about any kind of like system. We're talking about an essence that is feminine. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. So the 60s represented that. When we get into the 70s, the 1970s, we're getting more so into coming out of peace, love, touchy-feely. Oh my God, I'm so in love with myself and people. That now, of course, the 7 is going into that crown or into the ground, whether you're upside down or not. 7 is one of those numbers where you're either flipped upside down or you're right side up. And that was a lot of the 70s. A lot of the civil rights stuff continued on into the 70s. The hair, you know, like the afros and like the rebellion. Now I'm gonna get to that because I guess afros is a big deal right now. Something's coming up about that. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about get into the 1970s real quick. There's a flare. When I'm talking about what I'm about to get into, when I'm talking about The Walking Dead, there's something physical that happens to certain people's bodies during this time of the cycle of reset, of change. And it's called a flare-up. Now, it's very interesting that in the 1970s, the bell bottoms, you had the flare out at the bottom. With the afros, you had the flare or fluff out at the top. So flare at the bottom, flare at the top. It almost felt like a balancing also of some sort. From top to bottom, bell bottom, top kind of thing. It was almost like a hourglass kind of situation where it created a balance for people that really understood fashion, style, and how it interacts with like everything and tells a story. There's something that I sense, and before I get into the conversation about The Walking Dead, I'm just asking or wondering if you know, again, and it's hot as hell out here, if you have any donations to contribute to this conversation, that would be amazing. You can see my Cash App posted in the comment section, pinned. You can also see my Venmo, PayPal, and you can book a session with me privately in the description box below if you're interested. But I would hope you would be interested. I'll also do a couple of readings as well. Through numerology and through cards. So if you would like to donate $20 or more, you can just add your birthday to the donation and your name, of course. I'll see it, and I'll go ahead and do the reading for you. And I do have time for a couple of more readings. So just go ahead and do that. I do see. Thank you, Tanasha, for your Cash App donation. I appreciate you. So yeah, you can put your birthday in with your Cash App donation or whatever. I'll see it and I'll do a reading for you. So I just wanted to put that out there as well before I get into the main part of the conversation, before I close off, because I do have stuff to do today. The concept of The Walking Dead. There's 2 realms to this particular earth plane. The higher realms of the air are the realms that render from thought. I wouldn't say nothingness, but from thought, from the plans, the 6, from the plans, from the indigo, the plans that are descended into actual manifestation. These bodies that are manifested from the top, from the sky, the people of the sky, the children of the sky, these are people that resonate at a frequency of thought process. These types of people are able to be more understanding. They forgive more. They go deeper into themselves a lot more. So when it's time to recycle into a new space, whether even if we're traveling planets, planetary travel, it's kind of like teleporting. So it's like teleportation. You know, you kind of like disappear in one area and you reappear in another, and that's called travel. That's the type of travel that an indigo-minded group, because it takes a group effort for this to happen. It's not just a person, but we're all linked in bringing the mass into a space that resonates at a frequency of the 6. That creates like many varieties of what top could be, of what the 7 could be, of what the ego could be, because the 7 is the ego, and the ego changes a lot. So 7 is not necessarily permanent, but the 6 is what allows the space to do what it wants, you know, to figure things out, to figure out the ego, to have ego deaths, to rebirth yourself in other ways. The reason why this is possible is because the whole light as a feather thing going on with the Egyptian mythologies is because the space is light enough to take in and disperse out in a very easy manner. These would be what you consider children of the gods, godlike stuff. And there's a prejudice against that type of person. This type of person is more so of the light, the Luciferian side of things, the illusionary side of things. These type of people have a presence of light when they walk into the room. I was talking about this when we were talking about Drake and Kendrick in one of my other videos. I said Drake happens to have that. When, you know, you look at Drake, you could tell that he is of the light. He calls himself 6 God for a reason. The God of the 6, or representing that energy of coming from here, straight off the top of the head, into the space of light and illusion. That has a certain kind of presence to it. And I said that Kendrick kind of represents the other side of that. He's more so, he could be of this, but he's choosing to be more of a pioneer for the heavy side of things. He's a heavyweight. Let's call Drake a lightweight, and let's call Kendrick a heavyweight. Kendrick is on the side of the heaviness. He wants to, maybe he has a mission to clear the name of his ancestors, of the ancestors that are in quicksand, in the concrete. You know, that concrete is dry and quick. You know, where we moving, where, you know, the movement is slower from what Kendrick is representing, and he wants to speed things up for his people. Maybe that's why he talks so fast. Maybe that's why he raps so fast. Maybe that's why his flow is not for the masses on that level, but his flow is actually spewing out an energy that is helping his side. So I'm not against the whole like taking sides thing, because it's been a while since I made that video. I'm just like, yo, they're just literally from 2 different sides, and that's it. But the other side, the heavy side, there's a process of death to those that are still alive on the side that happens because they're so close to it. And I'll explain this before I go into readings. And again, if you would like a reading, you can just send $20 or more, and I'll see your birthday and I'll do a reading on you, if you'd like that. There's and I've seen this, and it's actually quite scary. One of the reasons why I did have to take a break a little bit, because I was seeing this a lot. Here in Los Angeles, there's been gloomy skies lately. I know in San Diego and other parts of Cali, there's June gloom, or it's like gloomy days. It was a little like out of pocket gloomy here in LA, cold and gloomy and dark. And there was a cover, I felt like there was an actual cover up for this weather. Like it was being manipulated. It wasn't a natural gloom for LA. And I even saw and sensed like concern on people's faces when I would walk the streets of LA and see like there were certain types of people who were just like, yo, this shit is not normal. I feel and sense something eerie through this gloom. So then when I started walking, and I think I made a video a while ago, and this is when you guys probably really thought I was nuts when I was talking about the muff people. I'm not gonna get into that, but I was talking about the muff. Like this is how I was trying to explain them. The types of people that I started to see. It's kind of like that, but a little bit more complex. So I would start to notice in certain people's faces, and I believe on TikTok, something went viral about demon face syndrome. I did not know this was a viral thing until I started talking about something to someone else, and they're just like, yo, on TikTok, there's something called demon face syndrome, where people are seeing faces morph into like demonic type faces, that kind of like faces are stretching out, eyes are changing, like faces are changing because people's sight it's changing, and it's weird, and this is a phenomenon that's happening. I've witnessed this in a weird way, where I've seen people's faces stretch. They got bigger. I kind of call them like balloon-like faces, like bigger, like gassed up, like gassed faces, clown-like. I sense children. This is the types of things that children see that they can't explain. So when they see certain people and then they get a little scared, and as an adult you're just like, what the fuck? Like why is my child screaming? Yeah, because your child sees a morphing of one of these beings. Now a lot of these beings like to look down. So like because I've seen them in dreams too. And again, I think children have these dreams, so-called nightmares as well, about these beings, where they're kind of like looking down. So back this up. I'm gonna back this up with something. When we look at the Thanksgiving Day parade, for instance, and you have all of these characters floating in the sky, and they're big and they're huge, and a lot of it is their heads usually, or like you see like a big SpongeBob and like all these characters, a big Mickey Mouse, a big something, and they're floating in the sky and the kids are looking up. First of all, it's representing like clouds, and it's representing like a thing that happens. It's very occult, by the way, to have these balloons, these gassed up balloons that are like looking down. There are real beings. Thank you, Danae. 1412 1990. 1990. Okay, got that real quick. So you must be in a different country if you are putting the 14 before the 12. I got you, Danae. Thank you for your PayPal donation. So they are they're in a space where they're trying to normalize what actually is happening in a different realm. I'm sorry, I can't really see comments because of the sun glare, so I'm just kind of like really trying. Okay, so that's an example of like an occult way to represent what I'm talking about, the gassed up beings that are like floating and higher and expanded. Now, another thing is that when a person dies, and their bodies, Dowdy, thank you, Dowdy. Yep, I got you. I appreciate you, thank you. When a person is, when you die, for instance, the body goes through a process of distortion. And one thing that happens in the body is a flare up. There's a flare up. Here we go with the flare, the hair flare, the flare. And it's interesting when you're like looking good, you know, they say you got flair, finesse, flair, right? So all of these words that are associated even with the other side of it, self, just to kind of even itself out, like the afro and the bell bottom. So there's a flare or inflammation as well of the body. So the body starts stretching out, you know, and the face starts looking more like clay, and it spreads out, and then there's like a molding of the face and the makeup. You put makeup on these faces and you dress these bodies, and they're just swollen everywhere. I've seen people look like that walking in the past like 2 to 3 weeks. And when I say my stomach, and I don't get afraid of things a lot anymore. When I say it's kind of like a dimensional, shift, and then it comes back into reality. So it feels like I'm going into I'm peeking into a world that I should have no business seeing, and then I'm coming back into the world. Because literally for like a little while, I'll give you an example. Certain areas I know in LA are protected by these types of beings. Now, I'm not going to say that all of these beings are bad or horrific. Here's my theory. And I don't know if I explained this before. When you're in a coffin, when a person is in a coffin, that is a tomb of some sort. That is a shell that is covering the dead spirit that is no longer existing through the body anymore. So the coffin is like it's representing a new shell, a new life. Whether you want to go all the way fancy with the Egyptian wrappings and tombs, or you want to like come into just regular American burial, it's the same concept for the spirit and the shell. So it's a new shell. So there are certain families that invest and spend money in really nice coffins, kind of like how they used to do thousands of years ago. They might not be knowing that they're tapping in, but they are. They're just like, no, like coffin with gold trim and really good wood and like comfortable on the inside and like really nice coffins, right? So this is a family that's investing in the comfort and the afterlife of the death of a loved one. Then you have certain families or people that can't afford these things. So what do? They get state coffins. They just get regular generic coffins so that their loved ones can just be somewhere in something, some kind of wooden box, just to have some kind of goodbye, you know. So everything is at bare minimum for their funeral rites. So their rites of passage is not really protected by luxury or intention. Now here's the thing, because we're in a quantum field that that resonates based upon layers of happenings. When this person starts to transition and go through the changes on that other side, it's kind of like they're waking up in their coffins, or like in a manifestation of their coffins. So you'll have people that were just like in these weird, basic, sometimes ugly coffins. Like, what the fuck is that? They'll somehow manifest in a pocket reality where they have the opportunity to start remembering being like human before they actually transition to the next life. So this is an in-between state. I think that I glimpsed or glanced into the in-between state, like the funerary state of where we go in between life and death. Now, I'm saying this because I think there's an agenda to try to bring those people into the world of the living when they're not ready to be amongst us yet. And that's dangerous, because I saw the effects. It brings a sickness to the living. A lot of them want to be outwardly beautiful. So a lot of them, they have this look. So some of their features are irregular. I heard this on TikTok as well, where they're kind of like out of ratio with their measurements. So their ears might be larger than the usual for a normal ratio. Their eyes more spread apart. Their faces, basically the golden ratio is off. And you can see it, especially if you are spiritual. You can feel it too, and it doesn't feel good because that's not natural. That's not natural for the living to see this. It's natural in their realm because they're actually going through a process to get it back into the living world. So I think we literally have a realm finding doorways to open to get into our fucking world. And when they come into this space, even permanently, like, I mean, I did not even mean to say permanently. Temporarily, damn. They feel what it feels like to feed from life. And they become addicted to that, to where they are on a mission to now. They're not supposed to experience life before they get to life, because you become addicted to wanting it prematurely. And you cannot feed from the living as dead in the same realm. You guys feel what I'm saying? I know it's taken a lot of time for me to get through this concept. So what they want to do first, from my angle perspective, is that, say you walk into, I've seen them in McDonald's, like I've walked into a McDonald's and I've seen them like behind the fucking register. And for some reason, if I go back to the McDonald's, they're not there. So it's only for this moment, into this veil, that I see them. Go into the McDonald's, they have this look like they want anybody with vibrancy, a certain level of vibrancy, and soul, and beauty, male or female, to come down notches. So the first agenda, because it all rolls out in layers, is to make you feel like shit somehow. See how gray it is? See how you want the sun out, but it's not? See how gray my face looks? It looks like I'm a dead person wearing makeup. See how bad and somber and sad you feel right now for whatever reason. It's a frequency I can manipulate, because that's the frequency that I'm on in death. Because every time you go to a funeral, what's projected outwardly the most is sadness and sadness and sadness and feelings of a frequency that is so much of it that the spirit takes it with them. So that's all they know in that realm. So they need you to dial it down. You come to my realm, which ain't nobody want to come to your realm. I kind of slipped through the cracks. Why? I don't want to get stuck here though. I don't want to get trapped in this space, but damn. So like, I would get scared. This happened maybe at least 2 to 3 times. They were all around me. Their irregular faces were all around me. They all looked damn near gray. and they have like this mean kind of feeling to them. They're not like chipper or happy. They don't really smile, and they're creating like this world full of them. They're popping into somewhere, some area that's close to our area, our veil of reality. Like, next stop is our reality. You go slip into their realm for a minute, that shit is scary as fuck. So I had to use my mind and tell myself, you know what? I know the type of reality I enjoy living in. It doesn't feel like this. And I had to really have a level of self-awareness, because it felt like anybody with no self-awareness could get trapped in this other space. And then they start to notice things, but like they notice it too late. And then the malleable version of the portal is like closed. How the fuck do they get out? Now on the other side of reality, they're missing. They're missing all of a sudden. What happened to such and such? I don't know. Just gone. So there are just things that I'm just seeing that I don't want to happen, or I don't want the mixture to happen in our worlds. I don't know, is anyone, I'm gonna try to look at the comments. Does anyone have an experience with anything that I'm saying? Or do I just sound like I've totally lost it and that I'm reaching? Someone said, I knew I was feeling death. And you know what death feels like when it's around you. I think any normal person, actually, you don't have to be super spiritual. You know what that shit feels like. And it's like, yo, am I about to die? Or is like death coming for us? Like us, plural. Wow, filters, okay, on Facebook. Can they do harm? There's a lot of, so the way that, yes, psychologically, it's kind of like once they're in the realm, it's hard to sleep. Again, I had to go see a psych person within the last couple of weeks because of this shit. It's hard to sleep because they definitely go into the dream world a lot. In the place where I'm staying, it's a communal place, so I've seen people change and sleepwalk and accuse wish attack upon someone in their dream state as they were sleepwalking, and they got kicked out. This happened like a week and a half ago, and this person you would never guess would say something like that, do something like that. Whoa, what kind of bug is that? It's an interesting bug. I've seen this. I've had dreams of being like around them and their faces where they like look at you down and they have big fucking faces again, like the balloons from the fucking parades. And like, I don't know, the harm is psychological, and anything that horrifying that can continue can of course become harmful in many other ways. I do think that there is a physical sickness that does come with sharing space with these beings, because they're not supposed to be amongst the living. They're coming from a different portal that is not supposed to be allowed. So again, another theory, none of this is necessarily truth, but another theory is when we really come out into this world, we're coming from the top. We're never coming from the bottom. We might be growing from the bottom. So there's a part of us that is birthed through, and then there's something called life lesson that brings itself into a space which is allowed in increments to come into you as you grow as a person. It's kind of like dead meat with a soul going backwards into a dead body or dead animal and like reanimating itself. It's disgusting. Like if there's like a dead deer just laying there, and then the deer's soul doesn't go through the correct portal to lighten its load. It goes through this other portal instead, which brings it back to its meat suit. It has no choice. It thinks that that's life, so it goes back into its meat suit, and then it's like a dead deer walking. That's what it fucking feels like. I don't know what the hell, however to explain it. They're going through a backwards point of view for life. And I don't know. It's dimensional first, but it can creep in to a sight. All they need to do is be seen. Here's another thing. Holographic technology is very easy. And here's where I'm going to put a closure to this conversation. Again, I have at least a couple of readings that I'll be doing. So that's good enough. But if you wanted to donate and contribute to this conversation, Cash App is in the comments and other links below. Agitation. So I looked into the actual definition. I don't want my computer to overheat. I looked into the definition of holographic technology. How to create a hologram. A hologram needs interference light wave or interference frequency to animate the 3D image. Okay? So you have everything you need, and the only thing, the one thing that powers it up to close it in to be an actual hologram is an interference frequency. So here's my fucking thought on these holographic, horrific motherfuckers. Lately, I've been feeling like I've been experimented on. I'm trying to get out of this fucking experiment. I'm one of the people walking, like some of you, that have a high level resonance. A high level resonance that matters in spaces where some people don't have that level of high level resonance, okay? Yup. Some people got it, some people don't. Thank you, Monique. Let me just see if I see. Thank you, Monique. I really appreciate your Cash App donation. Thank you. Now, we're into the golden blossoming age right now. And there has to be an allowance of high resonance beings to be comfortable, happy, in harmony, sort of like a utopia, but not a boring utopia, a fun utopian spirit. We're supposed to be in a space of non-struggle, comfort, happiness, motivation, inspiration, action-based, right? Not lazy in that shit, but creating something. It's like getting a surge of creative energy, and not through struggle, not through having to create alchemy all the time, because alchemy hurts. To make one thing into another, there's a process, and it's like exhausting for the soul that has been through enough of that. So I'm one of those souls. I'm just like, oh, I've graduated from that place. I'm in a place where I'm in cruising right now in an energy that should not be interrupted. It's high level creative energy as well. There are certain people or types or entities that come in. You might as well call them that they got their fucking laser guns. They come in and they agitate or annoy on purpose. It's like ruffling feathers. It's like taking a bird and petting their feathers backwards. Or a reptile. If you go like this on scales on a reptile, it feels good to them and to you, but if you go backwards, it starts to scratch and it hurts their frequency. It really hurts a reptile when you pet them backwards. There's a flare up, when a cat feels weird, there's a weird fucking energy around, and you see your cat hunches it back, and the hair just balls and stands up like a fluffy fucking thing, something's off. So here we go with the flaring up thing again. So there are certain people that want to do that to your spirit specifically. Why? Because it creates an interference pattern or interference wave that creates hologram creates holograms. You can be used as a projector to create holograms off the fucking street. They just appearing out of nowhere. It's happening so fast that you don't even know it's happening. You don't even know it's happening. So it's like, wow, like, and then when you're creating from that interference point of view, from that not being your main source of feeling, it creates distorted beings. So I believe that there are agents here that are here to flare up. Like when you have allergies, your allergies flare up. It's like these motherfuckers are like walking allergies to people that should not be in an allergic state right now because the frequency is too sensitive, especially the feminine side of the frequency. It's too sensitive. So if you notice that there are certain people around you that are agitating you to the point where you feel like physical feelings on the inside, you feel icky, it feels like your skin is going up like a porcupine, like it feels like you're fluffing up. You got to remember that these beings look like that. They look like they're fluffed the fuck up. Thank you, Letitia. They look like they're flared up because that's how they fight. They want to flare because you have too much flair. You have too much flair and flavor that they need to like make you like angry and aggravated. So when the frequency dips down, there's a door or cracks that literally open up for a little while during that aggravation frequency where they motherfucking come through like that and step into the world of the fucking living, yo. That's all I gotta say about that. I don't know. I've been trying to explain this shit, and like I think I don't want to over-explain it, but I don't know if it's also happening in certain parts of the world. I know LA is a big fucking portal, a big spot for this. Let me go into the readings real quick. I believe I have 2, and finish this off. Hold on. Someone said that they're dealing with co-workers like this. So you see this in your co-worker. I can definitely, yeah, in the workplace, you probably see this a lot. You can notice patterns of behavior in co-workers, actually. You go to work every day. Please keep an eye out for the patterns of agitation and things that just are out of context level agitation. Like, why are you you're really bothering me and there's no context around why you're bothering me. You're a part of the fucking agenda. Like, you're one of them. You're either being used as an agent or a fucking bot, or you're actually one of them that fucking creeped in here. There's a new person all of a sudden that just appeared that's new at the job, and they're like weird in that way. They might be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, because when I say that I've been like really affected by this shit, it's kind of nuts. Okay, so 12/14/1990. I'm gonna flip that backwards. Flip that in the American side of things. So this is December. You know what? I'm actually gonna keep it 14/12/1990 for some reason. I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. There's a reason why damn near the rest of the world places their dates like that. America just has to be, you know, extra with stuff. Let's see. Because it would make more sense to put the date first, and then the month second, and then the year third. Why does America put the month first, the date second, and then the year? Like, that's not in order, huh? So first of all, December. So what I'm getting just from this realization of the 1412, the December 14th being 1412, is that there's 12 months in a year, 13, 14. There are two, oh my God, and I said this in a different way the other day. There's two hidden dimensions. It's a 2D world. And I forget the name of this person whose birthday this is. I don't want to make your birthday into a general reading thing, but it is for right now. So just, I'm just seeing things just on a general level for right now through your birthday. Two hidden dimensions, 2D. In order to create 3D, you need an interference pattern. Got it, I just said that. So two hidden. 14 first means that there's two hidden realms that are working together. The 12 being December. There was a message that I received earlier, I think last night actually. I just be getting these random like ahas and stuff, but how mating season, you know how people think summertime is like summer, it's mating season. No, mating season is Christmas time. Mating season is actually winter. Around December mark, where it's actually like the chemistry is bonded enough. Summer is a part of the process of courtship, enjoying each other, getting to know each other, going through all these seasons. By the time you get to December of any kind of relationship, 12 is that perfect mark of knowing whether it is or it isn't, for that level of intimacy. Now, clearly y'all ain't gotta listen to me on that. But numbers wise, how do I know this? The second chakra is the sacral, the sexual chakra, and the first is the root. When they're aligned at 1 and 2, that means that you've reached the orange and red zone, which is a perfected zone of sex. When you have, let's say, anything with a 2, you got to pay attention to what it's next to. The 2 represents sex. It's the second chakra. People think 6 represents sex. That's why they think summertime is a time, which is crazy. People forget 6 is here, 2 is down here. So it's like it's a mess sometimes. They forget 2 is a sexual component, and the 1 is the rooted component of that sex. So December, especially in the space of Sagittarius and Capricorn, there's a reason why the Sagittarius is the, what do you call it, the archer, like, right? Because it's time to pinpoint and focus on pinning something down, like getting into it, like literally. So this is the happiness around Christmas time. Christmas. It's Christmas. Is it Christmas or is it Xmas? Do I miss the X? Do I miss my X? Xmas, 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 or Christmas, Christ Mass. Anyway, let me pull out cards for this person so they can get more personal for a second. It's crazy because seeing it written this way, I see it so differently that it's off grid. And a lot of the conversation that I was having about today is off grid. Feelings of being off grid. One card popped out. We'll keep that to the side. 2, 3. So the 8 of Pentacles popped out for this person, and this is a masonry number. This is a building number. This is where I was talking about straight lines actually existing in the right hands. Okay, so I look forward to this. I hope you look forward to this. I hope that you're a part of this level of building, because that's what all of this beautiful, natural, swirly energy is waiting for, is for the real ones that has a straight line, the real ones to come through for real and build from the root, that one. And then we have the 3 of Pentacles here, upside down. So a lot of people that are being targeted, and it's funny because somebody had just put on Stranger Things. Before I even came to do this reading, I was watching Stranger Things. Upside down. What I'm talking about sounds like an upside down situation, a parallel point of view that is trying to seep through into the reality and not be separate from us, but be merged with us. This 3 of Pentacles being upside down, being gray at that, is kind of like just confirming, because when I look at cards, sometimes I literally just look at it like from a form of a child, which also comes to mind when I think of 3. There's a specific type that is targeted through this realm of manipulation, and it is through adults that kind of live like children in their minds and through their sight, and actual children. So this is like they're gunning for children, not like adult types that are like so far away from their like inner child shit. Like they have no power. It's a purity that is mostly sought after. The 3 of Wands is right side up, which is more so, this is the sticks of fire. I remember I brought the staff up. The actual masonry, the ones, the straight line, the elder that comes in and protects this upside down version, 3 of Pentacles, protecting the land, protecting the space, making sure that there's a separation between the realms. How do you separate? You create borders. They're having a whole immigration talk right now. Like that's all you hear about on the news is this whole immigration shit. Borders. This is the card. This man is creating borders. All right? Because this shit, if this shit creeps up, it's like food. Not to sound disgusting, but it's like if you ate something bad, that shit comes back up, doesn't it? It doesn't go out the other way sometimes. Sometimes it comes back the way it came in for a reason, and that shit don't feel good. Nausea is one of the worst feelings in the world. So it's like nauseous feeling. You don't want that. Let's keep that away. Let's keep these this type away from our world. Like it's not supposed to mix. Then there's the Ace of Pentacles. This is also upside down. I'm going to turn this right side up. The reason why I say that is because Ace to me, first of all, my son's middle name is Ace. Anytime I see Ace, I feel good. Anytime I see like my son's name, I feel good. You know, and I want that to always still be associated with feeling good. and I want him to feel good. Turning this right side up, not upside down, is important for the children, because the children feel like they're gonna start getting sick. Whoever's birthday this is that gave it to me in this order with the date first and the month second is from a different place. I don't know if you're from Europe, somewhere in Europe, but you're ahead of time as well. So I'm seeing your birthday as like a warning factor to us, to the American perspective as well, subconsciously, that something was or is coming through that can affect us in ways of disharmonic feeling. Anger comes first, agitation, and then it turns into morphing of the features, and then it turns into feeling physically sick, and then it turns into eventually dying off, being replaced by one of them. Shit is weird, yo. That's what I got from this birthday. Please contact me if you would like a more personal reading. You got involved, or your birthday got involved into a bigger picture part of a reading. So like, I just wanted to like just thank you for sharing these numbers with us. But again, I would like to get more personal with your numbers, but your numbers helped a perspective. So thank you for that. And let me see. For the 14/12/1990, Danae, thank you for sharing your numbers with us. Again, I will send you a message on PayPal and give you a more personalized reading for sure. But thank you so much. Yeah, I thought I had another one, but I don't. So I'm just gonna take this as it's time to go. Thank you for hearing me out. I've been trying to explain this in some weird, twisted way for so long, at least for the past couple of months. I mean, couple of weeks. That's felt longer. But let's see this phase out. I want to be happy, but motherfucker, I keep saying that the soldiers of love are being recruited, and like there's a real fight out there, and it's a good one when you're on the side of love, when you're on the side of beauty, when you're on the side of blossoming. The insecure, monstrous motherfuckers that want to see people suffer because they are miserable. Let's get them. Get your real guns, yo. Let's get them out in these streets. Bye.